Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. It does take me a minute to get there. Okay, Stephen, she's alive. Indeed, she is alive, Stephen. And I have to ask you a question. Did you draw that picture that's your profile picture?
No.
Well, that's beautiful. Did somebody else do it?
Yes.
So did you have it done somewhere, or do we know the person?
We know them.
We do? That is absolutely gorgeous. I love that. I love people who can draw because I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. So it's always fun to see what y'all put. I'm sorry?
I can draw a stick man.
Yeah, yeah. My stick men aren't even really very good. I wish they were. Anyway, I love seeing people's profile pictures, though. It's pretty cool because it helps me to know what you're interested in. And okay, and Grayson, you're flipping. Is that really you?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yes, ma'am, it is. That's pretty cool. And Eli, you play baseball?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And Bailey likes soccer and plays soccer, yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty cool. And Annie, yours is a beautiful like dragon thing. And that always just reminds me, you know, when angels are described in scripture, I think that that's why the first thing we ever hear an angel say is fear not, because they're probably pretty ferocious creatures. But what's your creature from?
Just the internet.
I'm sorry?
I just found it on the internet.
Oh, okay. Cool stuff. Good morning, everybody. It did take me a minute to get everything loaded. The other thing that I'm trying to do also is I had a few people ask, you know, make sure that I post the directions about that ladder activity. So I was also trying to do that to make sure everybody understands exactly what to do there. So let's see. Where would you guys like me to start? Do you want me to start on the ladder activity? Do you want me to start with the
Start on the ladder.
Start on the ladder?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. So the very first thing that you were supposed to do, why I share the document with you guys, is you were supposed to, you can, and I probably, if I were doing this, I probably would have done the work and then cut out the pieces, but it doesn't really matter. You were supposed to actually work on each one of the 12 squares and work the problems out. And then the answer would be at the top of one of the other remaining 11 squares. So like this one yesterday I did on the board, the very first one to kind of get y'all started. I did it on the board. But to kind of review for the test tomorrow, let's talk about point slope form. Point slope form is that one where it starts with a y, and then you plug in the y coordinate next, and the default is y minus y1 equals x minus x1 with the slope right here in the front, m times x minus x1. So if it's minus in the original equation, then this is going to turn to a plus because that would be a minus minus. Are there any questions about that part? The slope is 1 and then x minus 4. So that's my answer. So I would look for the ladder piece when I'm gluing it together, and it's this one. And that is once I cut this out, that would be, this is the piece that I would glue up here. And I would glue it here. And you can cover your work up if you want with the answer, because then the answer blank would be there. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Cut out the whole square?
Okay. I'm sorry?
Are you supposed to cut out the whole square?
Yes, these will be 12 individual squares like this. So once you cut it out, you cut along these black lines. So you'll have 12 squares. There's 6 on each page. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are y'all seeing how it has to be cut now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions about how it's supposed to be cut?
Nope.
Okay, there's 6 problems on each of the 2 pages. So for a total of 12 problems. And there's a start. Actually, it's not a total of 12 problems because it's really 11, because there's no problem on this, on the where it says end, there's only an answer. So it's technically 11 problems. So yay, right? And I did one for you. So now there's 10. All right, but let's take a look at the second one. Write the standard form. Standard form. So here we had point slope, and now we had standard form. Standard form is AX plus BY. Might want to write this down also. It's going to be on the test tomorrow. AX plus BY equals C. So X plus by equals C. All right, and the standard form of the equation that goes through the line 3, -1 with a slope of -1. And now that I've written that so big there, I'm going to move that up here because I won't have enough room. Okay, so I can use the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. I'm going to write that real small up here to remind everybody what that is. You need to know that for tomorrow also, y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to plug in -1 where the y is, because that's the y coordinate of the given point. Then I'm going to substitute my slope in for the m. I'm going to substitute in my x. I'm going to substitute in 3 for my x. There we go. I'll get it out eventually. And now I'm going to solve for b. -1 times 3 is -3. And now I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So 2 equals B. So I'm going to just remind myself up here that 2 equals B so that I can erase this. Is everybody okay with me erasing this?
No, ma'am, not
Everybody
yet.
got that?
Not yet. Hold on. Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Uh-huh. I just appreciate y'all, letting me know what you need. So now what I'm going to do is to get it in the standard form, I'm going to start with slope intercept because I have enough information to get it at least to there because I have my intercept and I have my slope. And that's a good place to start. Y equals negative 1x. And I don't have to write the negative 1. I could write negative x, but I'm just doing that so that you all can see all I'm doing is substituting that slope in for m. And then I'm going to, the value, the understood sign in front of that 2 is a positive. So that's what makes that sign positive. So plus 2. If the value of that was negative 2, I would write a minus 2 there. So now this is in slope intercept, y equals mx plus b format. To get it in the standard format, the x and the y have to be on the same side of the equation. In order to do that, I can't just move the x over there. I have to add that 1x. I'm going to do the opposite of whatever that is to both sides. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So now my x is over here. And it's a positive. So praise the Lord. I don't have to multiply it by anything. And I dropped the 1 because the understood coefficient in front of a variable is 1. So now it's in standard format. X plus y equals 2. Oh, it's on my end. That won't work. Well, it will work because that means the answer to this is somewhere else. But that's going to be the end of my.
Can you scroll back up?
So we know that. Yeah. So you can't kind of get freaked out about where it is because it should all come together. But that's the answer for that one. What? X plus y equals 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Miss Sparks.
Hi, Miss Sparks.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we've got 2 answers so far. And I believe that some people said they wanted to go ahead and cut it yesterday, which is fine. I just hope that you're able to follow along with where I am. Like you're able to find the squares, because I know some people did cut them out yesterday. Okay, so I've done a point slope and I've done a standard form. I'm going to go ahead and do this fraction one right here where it says write the point slope form of the equation. It shouldn't scare you that it's a fraction because really it's not a big deal. All you're doing in point slope is substituting the point and the slope. So it's really not that big of a deal other than you have to watch your signs because originally the point slope starts with that y minus. So if I have a minus 1/2, that's going to make this plus 1/2. Equals, and now this is where my slope goes because it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's point slope. So that's that one. Where is it? There it is. It's way down here. I'm just showing you guys what you'll look for. Is this helping?
Yes.
So that is the square that would be pasted there. So that's why I say I would probably do all of my work, then cut it out, and then tape it or glue it.
Miss Sparks, can you do the second to last one on the second page?
I can. So this one right here, write the standard form of the equation of the line through 2, 5 with an undefined slope. Is that the right one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I sure can. All right, let's think. The key thing here we want to start is with undefined slope. What type of line has an undefined slope? You know, Miss Spark has that joke about you would be undefined if you skied off this type of line.
So a vertical line?
A vertical line. A vertical line has an undefined slope. Can anybody tell me what the equation of a vertical line starts with?
Y.
You would think so because the y is the vertical axis, but it's not that.
Oh, X.
Yes, it's the other one. It's x. It's x equals. And where does the x go through? What point? What is the point given?
It goes through 2.
What is the x in that? Yes. So there's your answer. Because every single x on a vertical line is always going to be 2. It doesn't matter. It's a vertical line. So essentially, if we could think of it, oops. X equals 2. It's going to go right here. Every single point on this line all the way up into infinity and negative infinity is always going to be 2. It doesn't matter what the y is.
Can you do that one, please?
What one?
The one, x equals 2.
That's it. I just did it. That was this one right here. That was this equation that it was Annabella. You asked me to do it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
No, the answer.
Okay.
Has the answer on the card.
Oh, you mean the one that says y plus 1/2 equals 5 times x plus 3?
No.
Because I did that one. That was this one way back up here. That's the point slope one. So it was interesting that Annabella asked me to do that one. I'm sorry? Which one? The one on the right?
Yes, ma'am, with x equals 2.
Right, where is it? Oh, where the answer is. I got you. I'm so sorry. It took me a minute. Please forgive me. Okay, write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line with a y-intercept of -1 and a slope of 0. Great question. What type of line has a slope of 0? Horizontal line. Good job. A horizontal line because it's 0 fun to ski on a horizontal line. No fun. 0. So what does a horizontal line always begin with? What letter? Well, actually, it's slope intercept too, but.
Y.
But what? Y equals is every horizontal line on the face of the planet is y equals. And the y-intercept is what?
-1.
Yep, so that is actually the answer, -1. So it's asked for slope-intercept form, but on a horizontal line and on a vertical line, There's only one that it's in. When you write this equation right here, and when you write x equals 2, they're in their only form they can be in. They're in point slope. They're in, well, actually, they're not. You could put it in point slope, believe it or not. They're in slope intercept. They're in standard. That is their form, because that's the only form that you can represent, basically, though a horizontal and vertical line. So if you're asked about an equation of a vertical or a horizontal line, the big thing to remember, okay, guys, when you're looking at a test and it talks about a line that has a slope of 0, I want you guys to think horizontal line. And you only have to look for the y coordinate or the y intercept. Either way you want to look at it. The y coordinate or the y intercept. If you see something that says the slope is undefined, like the one Annabella asked about, it is a vertical line every time. And the only thing you need to worry about is the x coordinate. Vertical line, undefined slope, and focus on the x. Horizontal line, slope of 0, focus on the y coordinates. Great questions. These are really good questions, just showing me how much you guys have learned. I'm so proud of all of you all.
Can you do the last one?
The last one, as in this one right here?
Yes,
Write
ma'am.
the slope intercept form. Okay. Write the slope intercept form of the equation of the line with a y-intercept of 0 and a slope of -2. So what we're going to do, if the y, when you have I'm trying to think of the best way to say this to you guys. When you have a y-intercept, what do you, if you didn't know what the y-intercept was, and I said, okay, students, I want you to find the y-intercept. What would you plug in for x to find a y-intercept? If you were given an equation and Mrs. Sparks asked you to find the y-intercept, what would you plug in for 0? I mean, for x?
0.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Right. So if my y-intercept is 0, and I know that, what is my x going to be for that right here? What is this going to tell me? If my y-intercept is 0, what is it? What is this kind of implying to me? Can anybody guess? This is kind of a tough question. It's a leading question, but I'm just to see if anybody knows. Don't be embarrassed. If I told you to find the y-intercept and you are plugging in 0 for x, what do you think the coordinates are for this y-intercept? Maybe that's a better way to ask. Like, what's the ordered pair right here then? It would be 0, 0. Because if you plug in 0 to find the y-intercept, if you plug in 0 for x to find the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is 0, then it's telling me this line goes through the origin. Okay? Clear as mud.
Miss Sparks, can you do the one?
Yes. I'm not quite done with this one yet. I'm not done with this one.
Oh.
Yes, I will, but I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands this so far. So all you're going to do then is say, if the y-intercept is 0, is plug in negative 2x for the slope, because this would be plus 0. And you don't have to write that. So you're kind of given the answer right up front, but I kind of want to make you all think about all the different ways that the line is on the graph. So you've got the slope and you've got the y-intercept. So you just plug that in. All right. Which one did you need me to do? And that answer is way up here.
The one next to n.
This one, this one, write the standard form of the equation of the line through -1, 2, and has a slope of 2. So I have enough information that I can plug it into slope intercept, because I'm going to plug in 2 for y.
The one about slope intercept form.
What do you want me to do?
Like, what was the final answer?
Go back
Was
to
it-
that.
Final answer. Was it?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so write the standard form of the equation of the line through -1, 2 with a slope of 2. So I'm plugging in my x and my y coordinates into the slope intercept form. 2, so this is slope intercept form. I plug in my 2 for my y. I'm going to plug in 2 for slope, -1 for x, and solve for y. I mean, solve for b, or the y-intercept. So 2 equals -2 plus b plus 2 plus 2. So that's going to be 4 equals b. So I'm going to write that up here to remember it. Don't you feel like y'all do that a lot? Solve for b?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of one of those things that's almost should be a default at this point. You know what I mean? So now we're going to plug in our information that we have back into that y-intercept form. Y equals 2x plus 4. And now I've got to be in standard form. What is standard form? Anybody tell me?
AX plus BY equals C.
Good job, Grayson. You are on fire today. Good job. So the AX, the X and the Y have to be on the same side.
2x plus Y equals 4.
Yes. But I don't think there's an answer. Yay. I don't think there's an answer on here like that, or is there? Is there an answer like that? Or is she looking for? No, yeah. All right. So we got it to here. What is it that mathematicians don't want at standard form? What do they not want in the front?
Negative.
X and
That's exactly it. That's right. That's right. Good job. Good job, guys. Not a negative or a fraction. So good job. You guys are so smart. You're getting it. So Eli, did you tell me to multiply this by -1 also? Did I hear you say that?
multiply by negative.
-1. Because if I multiply that whole thing by a -1, it changes the sign on every single one. So it changes that -2x to a positive, let me erase this, to a positive 2x. It changes this plus y to a minus y, and it changes this 4 to a -4. So you would have 2x minus y equals -4. And that is right here.
So whenever you have like a negative 2x, you just divide by -1.
You could divide by a -1 or multiply by a -1 because that essentially is going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to change the sign all the way across. You just have to remember that when you're doing it to every single number. And when you have a fraction, you're going to multiply every single number by the denominator of that fraction. And that's it, because that gets rid of the denominator.
Could you do the one about like point slope form below the end?
The point slope form, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay, tell me what point slope form is.
Is it like y minus y1 equals n x equals x1 or something?
This? Did
Yeah.
I write it according to what you said? Yes. Okay. So y minus, what's the y coordinate?
Is it 1?
Yes. And then what's the slope?
2.
Now what's the x coordinate?
10. Okay, thanks. I just kind of forgot how to do it.
Okay, cool. If I told you guys to graph this equation right there that I just talked to you all about, and would you all be able to pull this point out and put it on the graph? Would you know how to do that?
I think so.
Okay. All right. We're going to do a couple of those. You do not have them on your homework, but I want to make sure that you all know how to do it. All right. Because of time, I want to make sure, and I've done almost all of these, and y'all need to do a few on your own just to make sure that you know how to do them. I'll send out the answer key later. Basically, this is what the answer key is going to look like when it comes out. So your ladder should be in that form, and then your end should be here. It'll look like that. But that's what the answer key will look like when I send it out. Okay, so you will know how each one is supposed to be stacked. Now for this guy, how many of you have tried to open the Google activity already?
I have.
Was that Courtney? I'm trying to recognize voices. I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good job. How did it go?
It worked well.
It worked well? How are
Yeah.
you doing on it? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I just had to read the instructions on the first slide. Or the second.
Yeah. Did you make a copy of it?
Like, I didn't print it out. I used the one on here.
Did you did you make a copy and like put your name somewhere or anything?
No.
How did you do it? Because I'm wondering how it's going to show up on my end.
I hope I didn't do it for everyone.
I don't know. I know that's what I'm worried about, because originally when I sent it out, I made a copy for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I don't know. Okay. Well, and I didn't instruct you guys to, so hopefully you didn't do it for everybody. Oh, no. This one would be on me, Sweet Pea, not you. But everybody else will thank you if you did, Courtney. All right. Can everybody see what I'm doing? Is it showing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. All right. So what you're going to do, because yesterday for most classes, I think I worked the first one, which it turned out to be this right here. So you're going to copy this by hitting Control-C and then go back to that other slide and then hit Control-V and drag. And no one make fun of Mrs. Sparks because y'all are way savvier than I am about this stuff. I didn't do too bad for me. All right, and then down here, it says to type the letters. So let's see if it works. I'm going to delete this. And then you'll start typing the letters. And then so that's what you'll do for every single one. Does that make sense to you guys? And you can actually, if you want to cut it instead of copying it so that all of these will go away, you can also do that. That's Control X. Okay? And then that way, when you go back there, you'll eliminate them. Does that make sense? Does everybody know how to cut and paste in a Google Doc? Control X and Control V.
I didn't illuminate them. I just copied and pasted them.
That's fine. If you copy and paste them, that's fine. If you want to do Control X to cut and paste, you can do either way you want to. It's not going to be wrong. I'm sorry?
Control X is better because it gets rid of it and also copies it.
Yeah, which is fine. But no, you're not going to be wrong if you do it the other way is my point. Okay? I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for answers. And I thought this would be kind of fun. And don't give away what the little fun fact is. I want to see everybody get to figure it out.
Can you do numbers 4 and 8?
On that particular worksheet, I can. Number 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's a parallel line, right? And wait a minute. Let me do this real quick. Because Miss Sparks needs a lot of space to write. Okay. Parallel line to x equals 0. So it's parallel line. What kind of line is x equals 0?
Horizontal.
Vertical?
It's vertical. And I know, Eli, I am so with you on this, sweetheart, because you're thinking, and I did this for years and years and years, you're thinking, well, the x-axis is horizontal. And you're absolutely right. It is. But on the equations, it's the opposite of it because every single x on the line is the same thing. So if every x is the same exact thing, it's actually going to be a vertical line. So if every single x is the same exact thing and it's parallel to x equals 0 and every x is the same thing, and the line is vertical and every vertical line begins with x equals, what is the equation to this line?
-5.
X equals -5. So that is a vertical line that runs parallel to x equals 0. And it goes through the point because it wouldn't matter what other point I picked on this line right here, the x is still going to be -5. Remember when we did, for those of you, this wouldn't be for the 8th graders. This would only be for the 9th graders. The 8th graders were in Washington, D.C. Remember when we did that glass window and you had to graph 3 horizontal lines and 3 vertical lines, and all of the vertical lines were x equals and all of the horizontal lines were y equals. All right. Now, the other one I think, Courtney, that you wanted me to do was number 5.
It was number 8.
Oh, number 8. I'm sorry. Number 8. Number 8 is a table of values. So every single one of these in this table of values, these are all the x coordinates. And these are all the y coordinates. So every single one of these makes an ordered pair. So this first one is the ordered pair -6, 33. The next one is the ordered pair -3, 18. And when Mrs. Sparks does a table of values, 9 times out of 10, I actually do it in a T-chart where it looks like that. Because to me, that makes more sense. But, you know, you're supposed to be able to read it anyway. So, and I will tell you that most of the time on SATs and ACTs, they are written like number 8. So that's 0, 3. This is 3, -12. And then the last and final point is 6, 20, -27. Those are all, that is 5 ordered pairs in a table of values. But it's the same exact thing as when they're written like this. Does that make sense? It's just another way to present the data.
Yes.
And all of this is very, very important. Good job. Okay, so now the next step then would be to find the slope. Now, if it were me, I am going to pick the 2 easiest numbers, which is going to be 0, 3, and 3, -12. That's just me, working with the smallest numbers that I possibly can. So if you all will allow me, this is not this problem. It is just me continuing number 8. So I'm going to do -12 -3 all over 3 minus 0. So that's going to be -15 over 3, which then reduces to m equals
Which problem are you on?
-5.
7.
I am doing number 8. That's why I crossed out that for number 7. I'm doing number 8. Is everybody with me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any confusion about this so far? What the table of values? Do you all see the ordered pairs? Does that make sense? How to take the ordered pairs off of the table of values?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You guys see that. And then Miss Sparks even gave a second example of how the table of values could be written like this. Okay. And then I chose these 2 points right here to find the slope, because the slope is always the change in y over the change in x. Okay? So now I have my slope. My slope equals -5. And I'm trying to put the overall instructions for this entire worksheet is to put the equation in slope-intercept form. There you go. Okay, so I got my slope. Sorry about that. Now, can anybody tell me what the y-intercept is based on the table of values? And if you can, and not to put anybody on the spot, I'm just seeing, if you can tell me what it is, can you please explain to everybody why it's the y-intercept and how you figured it out? Because the y-intercept is on that chart.
It's 3, right?
It is 3. Good job, Courtney. How did you know?
Because it's the y coordinate. It's in the coordinate with the 0.
Yes, it is in the coordinate with the 0, with the x that has 0. And anytime you're looking for the y-intercept, the x will always be 0. And anytime you're looking for the x-intercept, the y will be 0.
For number 8, m equals -5. That's not on the interval.
It's not? There's no -5x? Did I do my math wrong?
There is, but like when you go to the Google Slides,
I don't even see a oh yeah, okay, never mind. I do. It's not there?
no, not on the Google Slides.
Hold on.
I saw it.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go look for it in just a minute. I was like, it's got to be there because the answer bank, it's down here. So that's number 8. All right, well, let me flip back over to the Google Slides to Miss Sparks' copy. And let's see if we can find it. We're looking for y equals -5x plus 3. Here it is.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Miss Sparks.
Yes.
On number 8, why would it be 3 and not whenever we solve the group?
Okay. Let me get back to the actual worksheet. Could you ask the question again? I'm very sorry.
Why is it 3 instead of whenever we solve for b? It was.
Why? Okay, great question. Thank you. What Courtney explained to us, and it is absolutely correct, is you could solve for b if you wanted to, but it's already given because where the y-intercept is wherever the x is 0. Remember way back like in 4.1 or whatever, when you were just solving for the x-intercept and the y-intercept, you would plug in 0 for x to find the y-intercept, and you would plug in 0 for y to find the x-intercept.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember doing that? Oh, great. So basically then when you would get to the end after doing that, then if you were solving for the y-intercept and you had plugged in 0 for the x, then you would get this as an ordered pair, right?
Right.
And that's this ordered pair right there. So you know what the y-intercept is, so you don't have to do any extra math because that table of values is already there.
Okay.
Does that help?
I think so.
Okay, because let's look down here. What intercept is this? It's not really going to help you with the problem as far as that's just going to give you a point. But it is an intercept. What intercept would that be?
X-intercept?
If the y is 0, I'm sorry?
The x?
Yes, that's the x-intercept because the y is 0. So it, like I say, I point that out. The only way that's this one, you're still going to have to do this. And solve for b on this one because the x-intercept is really not that big of a deal for finding a equation of a line. It's a huge deal. I mean, big deal in quadratics. But for a linear equation, the y-intercept is more important. But that's what you're going to, that's the start of number 12. But that is the x-intercept. I'm just trying to get you guys to see how the ordered pairs and intercepts and all of that, how they relate to one another. Did that help, Reese? Because I know lots of people have that same question, and I really appreciate you asking it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because okay, great. I'm so glad.
Miss Sparks, can you do number 2?
I can do number 2.
Thank you.
And this is only the beginning of number 12. There's still more to be done on number 12. Please see that.
But
I did get you started.
Is there a way that someone can check if I like did the whole thing for everyone?
Yeah.
Could somebody you know what, to be honest with you, Courtney, let me go to your classroom and let me open it and see what happens.
Because we also have to share.
Yes. Okay, you're in my third period, right, baby?
Yes.
You did not do it for everyone. Because it opened a completely separate one, and see, none of it's done.
That's weird though.
Yeah. Well, my hope and my prayer is that when I posted it, it was supposed to make everybody a copy. And you're technically, and I didn't even write this in the instructions, but you're technically supposed to, before you share it with me, you're supposed to write your name where it says student copy. So you would write Courtney Carmichael. Whoops. Miss Sparks can't type. And I better erase that, because then I'll be like, well, yeah. And then you will share it with me.
It does it
Okay.
for you.
It does? It makes the name and everything?
For me, it did.
Well, praise the Lord. All right, cool. You're in my second period though, right?
Third period.
You're in my third? You're in Courtney's class too?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, y'all. I should know these things. I just know I see y'all's beautiful faces every day. I'm sorry?
It did it for me too, so.
Okay, praise the Lord.
On number 12.
That means that I did my part right. Praise God.
I'm so confused on number 12.
What'd you say?
And I got B this grade. But then what do I do from there?
Okay. That's going to be -1, right?
Yeah.
And then 0 equals -3 plus B.
So B equals 3.
Okay. All right. Oh, wait. I didn't even do that right. I didn't even start you right. Can anybody tell me what Miss Sparks did wrong?
That's why I was confused.
Okay. What did I do wrong? Anybody?
I don't see it.
Okay.
Meaning,
If the line is perpendicular, what would the slope be? What's the slope on this line? What's the slope of this line? No one knows? What's the coefficient of x?
Oh, 3/4.
Yes, so the slope is 3/4. So what would the slope of the perpendicular line be?
Negative 4/3.
Negative 4/3. So that's what Miss Sparks did wrong. So this was supposed to be negative 4/3. I didn't read the question. I just was substituting things in because I was so focused on that intercept. This is going to be negative 4/3. This is going to be 0 equals negative 4/3 times negative 4 plus b. So this would be a positive 16 over 3 plus b is 0. And then I'm going to subtract 16/3 from both sides. I'm writing right over my answer. And so my answer is negative 16/3 equals b. So that's my b. And then when I plug everything back in, I got to remember that my slope, because I just erased that. So let me write my slope right here. I got to remember that my slope is negative 4/3. I'm going to plug everything back in. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal. I'm putting it in slope intercept. So negative 4/3 x minus 16 over 3. And what you want to do when you're plugging in your words over here, you want them to go in order. So like I already plugged in FO down here, but whatever the letters are for 2, they'll go next. 3 will go next. 4 will go next. 5 will go next. 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it'll go down like that, and it'll be one big thing, and then you all add the spaces for the fun fact. How many of you have completed the return from Thanksgiving review?
I have.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no.
Are there any questions? Okay. Are there any questions on this? Are there any more questions on any of the worksheets, actually? Please. Okay, please. No standard form, slope intercept form, point slope form, and the slope formula before tomorrow. Please know all of your formulas. Study all of your formulas.
Can you do
Can I do which one?
11, please?
Yes, I sure can. On the return from Thanksgiving or on one of the others?
Return from Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right. So we're looking for the line that is perpendicular to y equals 1/5 x plus 5. So the perpendicular slope to that. So what is the slope in the given line?
8/3?
On number 11.
Oh, I thought we were on 16.
1/5.
1/5, is that what you said? That is correct. So what would the slope of the line that's perpendicular, what would the slope be? Opposite reciprocal.
-5.
-5. Because if the slope is 1/5, then the opposite reciprocal is going to be negative 5 over 1, which equals negative 5. Now, because this is multiple guess, we obviously know what the answer is. But just to be on the safe side, what you would do next is substitute your line in, your ordered pair, into your slope intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. So my y is 5. My slope is negative 5. My x is negative 1 plus b. So negative 5 times negative 1 is a positive 5. Because a negative times a negative. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And that actually gives me a 0 equals b. So it would be y equals negative 5x plus 0, which is actually unnecessary. So it would be y equals, because if I add 0 to anything, it's 0. If you all had that on a test, I wouldn't count it wrong or anything like that. But in this one, it's this. Eli, when you were working it, did you get 0 and it throw you off a little bit? It could kind of, sometimes when a slope is 1 or negative 1 and the y-intercept is 0, I don't know. It's easier when there's like numbers there that we can work with. But that slope when it's 1 or negative 1, because you're just writing x or negative x and you're like, okay, well, there's nothing there. You know, that can throw a person off. So I kind of get that. Are there any other equations or problems that you all would like me to work? I'm trying to think of anything that you all would need to know for tomorrow. Number 14 on this worksheet?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, once again, I'm so glad that you asked that. It plays right in, Mary Faith, to what I was just saying. Awesome. It's perpendicular to y equals 1. All right, well, let's think about it. What type of line is y equals 1?
Horizontal?
It is horizontal. Good job. Okay, what type of line is always perpendicular to a horizontal line?
Vertical.
Vertical. Good job. And a vertical line begins with what letter?
X.
X. Yep, a vertical line. The equation of the better way for Mrs. Sparks to say it is the equation to a vertical line always begins with X. Great job, Eli. Knocking it out of the park, buddy. All right, so what is the X coordinate for this point? Because I know if it's perpendicular to y equals 1, a horizontal line, it's a vertical line. Mary Faith and Eli have worked us to this point, but if it's running through that ordered pair, -2, 1, it's always going to be, what is it going to be? It's always running through the X coordinate. What is the X coordinate in this ordered pair?
-2.
-2.
That's right. Good job. Good job. So there you go. There's the answer.
Oh.
What is the slope to a vertical line?
0.
No, that's the horizontal one. 0 fun to ski on a horizontal line. What's the slope to a vertical?
Undefined.
Yes, good job. Undefined. 0 fun to ski on a horizontal line. You would be undefined if you skied on a vertical line. Not healthy. Definitely not healthy.
Can you do number
Vertical
18?
slope is bad. Number 18. I can.
Which one's undefined? Number 14?
What are we supposed to do? What, honey?
Which one's undefined?
What are you asking what the answer is?
Well, it actually equals -2. Why did you say something about undefined?
Just because I was reiterating the slope. I was talking about the slope because that's going to be really important for the test tomorrow. Sometimes I'll talk about things in addition to just the answers on these so that you guys will make some connections so that when you're taking the test, you know, you can think about those things that we talked about. Like, so I want to reiterate the fact that the horizontal line has a 0 slope and a vertical line has an undefined slope. So I was just talking about that because we were dealing with horizontal and vertical lines on number 14. Does that make you understand? Is that clearer?
I think so.
Okay. I don't always just talk about answers on here. Math Lab is to try and help you guys understand the concepts as well, to go a little deeper so that, because what I'm seeing, and this is great, and I'm very happy, what I'm seeing is that a lot of you guys can do the math once I get you started on the math. But what we're working on now, because this is very important for all these, the tests, not even the tests that Mrs. Sparks gives, but the upcoming tests in your lives, which are the ACT and the SAT and some of these other standardized tests that you all take throughout high school and to enter college. They're going to expect that you will be able to interpret the information. So it's going to be presented to you in all types of different ways. And so that's why I want to talk to you guys about it so that you can hopefully see how to break some of these words and sentences down. All right, so write the standard form of the equation of each line. So the standard form. So it's given to us in, this is kind of close to the slope intercept, I guess it would be, or the point slope form. So we're looking for the standard form, number 18. So what I would do is would add the constant to both sides to begin with, because that's going to get rid of that. And it's going to leave y on this side. And then I've got -1/3 x plus 3 on this side. And now I'm in now I'm in slope intercept form. Okay? And to be in standard form, my x and my y have to be on the same side of the equation. So I would add 1/3 to both sides. I probably should have started. I'm going to do this real quickly. Sorry, guys, because I want you all to follow. So that now what I want to do is add 1/3 x to both sides to get my x and my y on the same side. Okay, now I've got a positive leading the way, but I've also got a fraction. How do I get rid of the fraction?
Multiply by 1/3.
In what Close. Well, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 1/3, or multiply. A lot of times what I would like for you guys to think of is that you're going to multiply by the denominator. Okay? Because if that were 2/3, if I just multiply the whole thing by 3, it's going to get rid of that. It would have left, like if that would have been 2/3, it would have left a 2 at the x. So you're just going to multiply the whole thing by 3. So 3 times 1/3, see if you think about that, you're just trying to get rid of the denominator. So that's going to leave x there. 3 times y is what?
Three Y.
Good job. And 3 times 3 is what?
9.
So what you're trying to do is get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the denominator. That's how you clear. When you're clearing a fraction from an algebra problem from one side, you multiply by the reciprocal. When you're trying to get rid of a fraction when you're moving to the standard form, just think about the denominator. You're trying to get rid of that denominator. So that whole simplify before you multiply, for those of you who had Miss Braun, and she said that all the time. It cancels out the denominator. So number 18, the answer is x plus 3y equals 9.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, let's do number 20. All right. And we're supposed to get this in standard form. So we've got y equals 8/3 x minus 4. So I need to get my x and my y on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 8/3 x from this side and subtract 8/3 x from this side. So now I've got a negative 8/3 x plus y equals negative 4. What is the denominator of the fraction that's leading the way? A, it's negative. Don't want that. B, it's a fraction. Don't want that. So I need to multiply by a negative number. What is the denominator of this fraction?
3.
3. So I want to multiply this entire equation by negative 3. So let me show you what that looks like. So I multiply a negative 3 times negative 8 over 3. It looks like this. This cancels out, and that gives me a positive 8 because I've got a negative times a negative. So that's going to become 8x. Now I'm going to take this negative 3 and multiply it by a positive y. What is that going to be? Negative 3 times y.
Negative 3y.
Good job. Negative 3y. Now negative 3 times a negative 4.
12.
12. Good job. Who was that?
Reese.
Reese. Good job. I didn't recognize the voice, and most of the time I do. Good job. Does that make any more sense to you guys at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Eli, are you still with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did that help with the fractions a little bit? Is it
Yes,
getting any
ma'am.
better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I know fractions they're the hardest part. So, all right. So because they're hard, let me work with you guys. Let's do number 21 together. All right. Very similar process, but I tell you what, be ready to answer my questions because I'm going to do less work on this one. Y'all tell me where to start on number 21.
Subtract 7/3 from both sides.
Subtract 7/3 from both sides.
Good job. Way to go. Subtract 7/3 x from both sides. And now I've got negative 7/3x plus y equals negative 4. All right. Okay. I've got a negative fraction leading the way. So I want to get rid of all that stuff. So what am I going to multiply the entire equation by?
Negative 7/3.
Negative 7/3.
Very close. You got the negative.
Negative 4.
And you do want to get rid of the 7/3, but what you want to do is just multiply the whole thing by the denominator. Because if I multiply, you could multiply it by a negative 7/3, but you would then you would get a positive 49/9. So I've still got a fraction, but I've got a positive number. So you just want to think denominator. Just think denominator. Negative denominator. What is the denominator of that 7/3?
3.
3.
It is 3. The denominator is 3. And so the negative, Eli got us with the negative, and I think that was Reese with the denominator. So if you're thinking about it, if I multiply negative 7/3 times the denominator, just the value of the denominator. So Reese told me it was 3, but I'm going to multiply that by 3/1. Then what happens? Simplify before you multiply. And that gives me, actually, Eli told me negative, so I need to make sure it's a negative. Negative 7 times negative 1 is a positive 7. So this, all I did was get rid of the denominator by multiplying by 3. So now I have a positive 7x. I'm multiplying the whole thing by negative 3. So I've got this negative 3. What's negative 3 times y? Negative 3 times y.
Negative 3y.
Negative 3y.
Negative 3y. And now negative 3 times negative 4.
12.
12.
So that's your answer. So to clear these fractions, you're multiplying by the denominator of the fraction to get rid of it. So your answer for number 21 is 7x minus 3y equals 12.
That helped.
That helped.
Did it help?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, what's the first step on number 19?
Add 1/3.
Add 1/3.
Add 1/3. Okay. Well, praise the Lord. It's not a negative, but it is a fraction. What's the denominator? They're big on this one particular denominator for whatever reason. What's the denominator?
3.
3.
3.
Yes, good job. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3. So that 3, this one's a pretty one. It cancels completely out. When you multiply 3 times 1/3, you just get 1. So that's x. Now we multiply 3 times y. What do we have?
3y.
3y.
Multiply 3 times 6. What do we have?
18.
18.
So there it is.
That wasn't so hard.
That wasn't so hard.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, let's do 22. And then we'll work on some of these other ones. What's the first thing I'm going to do?
Divide by 5? No.
Divide by 5? No.
Subtract by 5. Subtract by 5.
Yep. Good job. I'm going to rewrite my answer to this one. Good job, Eli. Subtract 5x from both sides. Well, now I have a negative leading the way. What do I need to multiply the whole thing by to get rid of the negative?
Negative 1.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 5x is what?
5x minus y
5x
equals
minus y equals
negative 1.
negative 1.
Good job. That's the whole thing. That's the answer.
In a minute.
Okay, right.
In a minute, can you do number 20?
What number?
27 whenever you've done
27 whenever you've done them.
Yes, absolutely. How many of you need me to help you with number 23 and 24?
Can you do 24?
What is
Can
20?
you do 24?
I can do 24 and then I'll move on. All right. So I'm just looking at
Miss Sparks, after that, can you do number 23?
After that, can you do number 23?
yeah. I'll just do those both real quick. Okay. 8x minus 5y equals 15. Slope intercept form means I've got to solve for y. So now I'm going to subtract my 8x and bring it over here. I've been doing it the other way, right? This whole time. Okay, my y is still not all by itself. So I have to divide everything by negative y, by negative 5. So that cancels this out. And that makes this 8 over 5x. Actually, it's a positive because I've got a negative divided by a negative. And 15 divided by a negative 5 oh, it's negative 15. Negative 15 divided by a negative 5 is a positive 3. I've got to get my x over to the other side because I'm solving for y. Okay, I've got a negative in front of my y. So that means I have to divide everything by -1. Now it's in slope-intercept form. The rest of these are pretty easy because there's no coefficient on the y. Praise God, right?
Can you keep scroll up so I can see that?
Yeah. Someone asked me to do 27. So I am going to talk about that for just a minute while he finishes writing. It's still under the instructions of write the slope-intercept form of the equation of each line. So we're still following those same directions, but we're given only a graph. Okay? Are you ready, Grayson? Okay. And the beauty of this is we can see where the graph goes through the y. So that's going to give us, if we're trying to get this into slope-intercept form, right? What is the y-intercept on this? On number 27, can anybody tell me what the y-intercept is? The y-intercept, remember, is where the line crosses 4. Who said 4? Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. It is 0, 4. Because remember, the x-coordinate, wherever the y-intercept is always 0. So it's 0, 4. Good job. So now I've got my b. It's 4. All right. So now I'm looking for another point where the grids actually kind of meet so that I can tell what the coordinate is, which is going to be right there. What are the coordinates for this point?
Three, four.
Other way. Good though. I'm glad you counted perfect. And that's kind of hard, but say them the other way because the 4 goes first because that's the x right there. And the 3 goes second. Thank you very much. You got the numbers right. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. It's just that the 4 is the x and the 3 is the y. So now I have 2 points. What can I find with 2 points? What's something that I need and I can find that with 2 points?
Slope.
Slope. Good job. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1. You really need to know this for tomorrow. X2 minus x1. Okay, so I'm going to take 3 minus 4 over 4 minus 0, -1 over 4. So my slope is -1/4. So y equals -1/4 x plus 4. All right, let's do 28. What is the y-intercept for number 28?
2.
Good job. 0, 2. Okay, that's 1 point. We actually can see the x-intercept for this one, but there is a point that's closer. But can anybody tell me, no, this isn't the answer, But can anybody just tell me what are the coordinates for the x-intercept?
-2, 0.
-2, 0. Good job. All right, we can use those 2 points to actually find our slope. Okay? So now somebody tell me what is the equation for this line? This is our y-intercept. What is the equation? In slope-intercept form.
Y equals x plus 2.
Y equals x plus 2. Good job. Good job, because I just filled in my slope. If you wrote down 1x, that would be fine. I'm not going to count off for that. And then we plugged in our y-intercept or our b.
Miss Sparks, I have a question about 27.
Okay.
How'd you know that your x-intercept was 3 when it didn't like actually intersect the y-axis?
The x-intercept?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have an x-intercept on number 27.
Right. So how'd you know that your coordinate was 4, 3?
How did I Eli told us what this, see this point that I highlighted right there? Do you see that? Should I do it in a different color? Erase that and do it in a different color. Maybe that'll help. This point right there. You see that? The green? Okay. I asked the question, what are the x and y coordinate, like the values of that point?
Okay.
Does that make sense or not really?
I think so. I was a little bit
That's
confused, like actually intersect.
okay. I'm sorry.
I just got a little bit confused because I never saw it actually intersect the y-axis, so I just didn't know how you got the coordinates.
Okay, this is intersecting the y-axis right here, right here. Okay, that's the y-axis, this one. This is the y. And this is where it's intersecting the y. That's 0, 4. Okay?
Okay.
Because x is 0 at that point, and 4 is the y coordinate. All right? And then over here, to find this point right here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's at 4 on the x, but this is 3 over here because this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 3 on the y. Because this point over here has a value. What's this point over here? It's not on the line, but what is that point? If I ask you, what are the coordinates of that point, what would you tell me?
-3, 4.
Well, it's down 1 is actually -3, 3, because this is 3 right here. You can't tell because there's no number written. Maybe I should write it where there's a number written. Maybe that would be better. What's the coordinates for that point? -3. You were right on that, but what's this right here? Two?
Oh, okay. I was just confused what you were talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, every point on the coordinate plane, this point down here has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. This point over here has an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. So actually, and so every point on this whole line has an X and a Y. They're numbers that you all would hate and fear because they're decimals and fractions beyond nobody's business. So when I say we're looking for a point where the lines actually meet, at least it'll be prettier. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
that's why Eli told me the points were 4, 3. And so then that's how so you're looking for points on the line so that you can find the slope. See, up here, I don't know, way back here. Did I give you anywhere you had to find just the slope on this thing? No, I didn't, did I? Sometimes you're given ordered pairs and y'all know just to put it in that slope formula. On this, you had to find the ordered pairs and put it in slope formula yourself. So you're just looking for points on the line. All right, let's sketch this graph. What is this right here? What's that? This is in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. So what is that? What is that -3? Can anybody tell me what the -3 represents?
The y-intercept.
The y-intercept. Good job. Good job. So the y-intercept, what would okay, so we know that the y of the y-intercept is -3. What is the x always on a y-intercept?
0.
Yes, good job. 0. So 0, -3. Okay, what's this -5 represent?
The x-intercept.
No, it is next to the x, the value x, but it's not that. If I write the slope-intercept form, you'll remember. What is this?
Slope.
M mean? Slope. Good job. So the slope is -5. This is a ratio, though, remember. So it's rise over run. So if you need to, look at it like this, because -5 over 1 is the same thing as -5. So my rise is -5 and my run is 1. That means I need to travel in one negative direction and one positive direction. So to sketch this line, I can't really go down 5. So I'm going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since I went up 5, am I going to go left 1 or right 1? I traveled up, that's positive. So I need to travel in a negative direction on the x-axis. Is that going to be left or right?
Left.
Left. Good job. Good job. That was Roger, wasn't it?
Yes.
Wow, Roger speaks. Okay. So if I do that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would be over here somewhere. And if I did travel down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1, it'd be something like that. So here's my line. I really do hate it hate when it does that. It's supposed to help me draw, but it just messes up my. Okay, let's work on 30. What is this right here? What's this?
Y-intercept.
What does it represent? Y-intercept. Good job. So what are the coordinates of my y-intercept? We know it's -1. What's the x?
0.
Good job. So 0, 1. All right, what's my slope?
4/5.
4/5. And it's positive, so I'm going to travel in 2 positive directions. So I'm going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can also travel in 2 negative directions because -4 over -5 is the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How are you all doing with this concept? Okay? Not good?
This is
Pretty good.
Pretty good. This is what? You're cutting in and out on me. So, what is it?
never mind.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, so we're going to sketch the graph of the line. And here we need to put it in slope intercept form. So what do I do? What do I do first to put it in slope intercept form? On number 31.
Add the 2.
Well, you want to get the y by itself.
Subtract x.
Subtract x. Good job. Because we're trying to get the y all by itself. So subtract x from both sides. Slope intercept has the y all by its lonesome. All right, now I've got a negative y and I don't want a negative y. So what do I need to do? How do I get rid of the negative on the y? If there was a -1 there, what would you tell me to do?
Add it to it.
If I added it to it, I'd have a 0 on that side. So if there's a -1 there, and I want to get rid of the negative. If I was trying to move it from one side to the other, Eli, you are absolutely correct. That's what I would do. But I just want to get rid of the -1. There's like a -1 being multiplied to that y right now. You don't see it because we don't use ones as coefficients. So if there's a -1, how do I get rid of the negative being multiplied to that y? How do I get rid of that?
Are we trying to get rid of the negative on the y or the x?
The y or the x?
The y, because we're trying to get y all by itself. Because remember, we're trying to get, in order to graph this, it needs to be in y equals mx plus b format. So we're
would you
trying to
multiply
make
by
our
negative 1?
equation.
Negative 1.
You could multiply or divide by -1. That's correct. So negative y divided by -1 makes that a y. And then negative x divided by -1 makes that a positive x. And -2 divided by -1 makes that a positive 2. I'm going to write that better. Okay. So now, what is my y-intercept on this equation? So now this is in y equals mx plus b format. So I've got my y on the left. I've got my equal sign. I've got my m. But you're like, no, Miss Sparks, you don't have an m. But I do, because there's an understood coefficient in front of the x. What is that understood coefficient? Therefore, what is my slope? What is the coefficient or the number that would be in front of that x? If there's no number there, what do we understand it to be?
1.
1.
Yes. So my slope is 1. Good job. That was, I think that was Roger and Eli. Okay. What is my y-intercept?
0.
The y-intercept.
Oh, 2.
2. Good job. And what is the coordinate of the x on the y-intercept?
0.
Yes. Good job. So, okay, so this goes through 0, 2. That's my y-intercept. And my slope is 1, which is the same as 1 over 1, because the slope is really a ratio. It's rise over run. So you would go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Or you could go in 2 negative directions, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. So there's my line. Okay, number 32. Once again, we need to get it in slope-intercept form. So what do I do first? I'm trying to get the y all by itself. This is slope-intercept
Did you
form.
add the y?
If I add y, now I have this. Did that help me?
Oh, no.
Okay. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, because I just wanted to make sure that y'all, understood why you don't do that. When you're trying to get y by itself, you want to look at what's going on around the y to undo it. Remember, with standard form, we're moving the x over to the left. And with the y-intercept, we're trying to move the x to the right, because you're trying to get the y there all by itself. So what's surrounding the y that I need to get rid of? What's there?
2x.
The 2x. Good job. So how do can I just move that 2x to the other side? Is that allowed?
No, ma'am.
No, it's not. So what do I have to do?
Subtract it.
Yes, good job. Subtract 2x from both sides. And now, once again, I have that ugly negative on my y. How do I get rid of it? What did we do on the last one?
Divide by -1.
Divide by -1.
Yes, good job. Way to go. Divide everything else. Yes, divide everything by -1. So negative y divided by -1 just makes it a y. -2 divided by -1 now makes that a positive. Oops. So why did I write a negative? And then a -3 or a +3 divided by a negative is a -3. Okay, so now I'm in slope-intercept form. What is my y-intercept?
-3.
-3. Good job. What is my x-coordinate on the y-intercept?
Zero.
Good job. 0, -3. So I'm going to go down to 3. Put that in. What's my slope?
2.
Good job. It is 2. And it's a ratio. So that's going to look like this. Or like this. So I can go down left 1. Or I can go travel in 2 positive directions or 2 negative. So I'm going to go up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. Or down 2, left 1. Traveled in 2 positive directions or 2 negative directions. All right. How was that?
Good.
Who's everybody? Okay. Are you all understanding how the graph and the line coordinate a little bit better? Does this help?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Eli, how are you doing, buddy? Is this better?
Kind of.
Kind of. The translation is sometimes a little hard. I do get that. Roger, how about you? How you doing?
Good.
Good. Reese, did this help you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Eli, you were really knocking the y-intercepts out of the park at the end, so hopefully this was helping. Bailey, I'm seeing you in here. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions on any of the worksheets from this week?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
Got it.
ma'am.
Okay, which one do you have, Eli?
Which one is the linear equation concept map?
Which one is the linear?
Or the assignment sheet?
Let me see if this,
What
Okay.
does it look like?
okay. It is the one that were like those half pages. We worked on them. It's this one. There's 6 total problems. And I actually was going to refer to them again on Wednesday, but I didn't really get a chance to because I was going to explain to y'all that one of the equations, there are two pairs of equations that are actually parallel and perpendicular lines to each other on these, but this is what it looks like. There were 6 total problems. Does that ring a bell? Oops, I just wrote all over that one. This one. That. Do you remember that one? There was 6 problems. Do you have it?
Yes, ma'am, I found it.
Okay, great. And then this is the graphing linear equations. So concept map, there were 6 problems. Graphing linear equations, there was 12 problems. There were 12 problems on the Google Classroom. I'm sorry?
I need help on graphing linear equations.
On this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which one, honey?
Number 5.
Number 5. Let me erase what I have here. Okay, what kind of line is that?
Horizontal.
Yes, ma'am. Good job. And do you remember the slope on a horizontal line?
No.
Okay. Can anybody else, just for review, can anybody else remember what the slope of a horizontal line is?
Is it X?
0.
0. Good job. It's 0 fun to ski on a horizontal line. So it's 0. X is the variable that sits next to the slope in the y equals mx plus b format. So that's where the x comes in. When the slope is sitting next to that m. Okay? So that's another reason that the equation's going to look like it does in this. What is the y-intercept on this problem? Where does it cross the y-axis?
-3, or is it +3?
It's -3. You're right. It's below the x-axis, so it's negative. So what would the coordinates for the y-intercept be?
0, -3.
0, -3. And does it ever cross the x-axis?
No.
It never, ever does. So there's no x-intercept. And the equation of a horizontal line always looks like this. Y equals something. And it's going to be the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? On this problem, what's the y-intercept?
-3.
-3. So that's it. And number 7 is exactly like that. Except for obviously the y-intercept is different because it's -7. So, but the same concept, same exact concept.
Can you do number 9?
Number 9, I sure can. Okay, what's the y-intercept? Where is it crossing the y-axis? 0. Right. Good job. 0, 2. Good job. Good job. Where is it crossing the x-intercept? X-axis, I'm sorry. So making it the x-intercept. Where is it crossing the x-axis?
-1, 0.
Yes, good job. Awesome. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take these 2 points and find the slope. So I have 0 minus 2 over -1 minus 0. So that gives me -2 over -1, which then gives me a slope of it. I can take that -2 divided by -1 reduces to a +2. So now I have my slope and my y-intercept. So that's y equals, what's my slope? 2x plus 2. Okay. Does that help, Bailey?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
I have a question about the Google Interactive thing.
Okay.
Where you're supposed to paste your answers, at the bottom it says type the letters here, then insert spaces at the end. What does that mean?
Okay. Let me go into there. You see, can you see it okay, Reese? Okay. See on this top one right here where it says FO?
Mm-hmm.
Right here. So down here, you see where I typed FO?
Yes, ma'am.
Because like on yours, I think before it says type the letters in there. Okay, so number 2, whatever the answer is for this number right here. Did we do number 2?
I did it.
You did it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. What was your answer for this? Do you mind sharing?
No, I don't mind. I got y
What was
equals
the answer?
3/5 x minus 3.
3 fifths x
Minus 3.
minus 3. Did I write that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's go over here and look for that on my answer bank. Where do we see it? Right here? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll cut that, paste it over here, put it at number 2, right? And then I'm going to go down here because that's number 2. And I'm going to write ODPA. So what you're going to do is like number 1 had FO, number 2 had ODPA. So you'll just keep adding the answer to number 3. Do you have number 3 done?
Yes, ma'am.
I hate to make you share all of your answers, your hard work with everybody, but I'm going to expect everybody else to have theirs done. So what, do you mind sharing one more just so that I can show you a little bit?
No, I don't mind. I got y equals 4x minus 20.
y equals 4x what?
Minus 20.
And that was, you found that in the answer bank and all that good stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it in the answer bank? Okay, cool. Yay. So let's see. Where's it on here? Here we go. And you'll go back here and paste that in.
So you just keep
And you'll go down here.
the whole way down.
Yep.
Okay.
And it'll be like a big old hashtag. But you have to figure out where the spaces go at the very end. Okay? To find out what the fun fact is. So you'll go back in, like you can kind of tell by looking at it that the first word is food.
Mm-hmm.
So you would go over here at some point and put in a space. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Miss Barb.
Yes. Does that help y'all?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other great question though, Reese? Thank you for that clarification because I'm sure others had the same question. Are there any other questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You do the same.
Thank you, Miss Barb.
All right. You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks for coming to Math Lab.